There is a lot of things that they are talking here, but before we go there, I'm going to tell you the story about manufacturing. So I'm going to do it here on a little page that I call a A4. So manufacturing is different than what we've done so far, in that so far we were trading businesses. Meaning I would buy a final product and sell it. I didn't have to go calculate how much it cost to produce that thing. Okay. When we are talking manufacturing, we are literally talking about I'm selling calculators, but I'm selling it after I literally made it. So I'm a manufacturing business. I'm a production company or partnership or sole owner. Okay, I'm a factory. So we're doing factory books. Okay. Now, when I look at this, in a factory business, our stock is going to be divided into 3 different T accounts. You're going to have 3 different stages. The first stage is going to be raw material, which they will also refer to as direct material. Then we'll have work in process or progress. Both words are fine. And we'll have final goods. Okay, now let me explain. So since all 3 of these, there's 3 stock accounts: raw material, work in process, final goods. Right. So raw material is obviously, can you see all of this is assets? All of these accounts are assets. So all of them are inventory. Okay, you guys with me? It's just they are on different stages. So let's think something that's very logical. We are making school clothes. Now, if we make school clothes, for every product that I make, I have to run through everything because I want to calculate the cost of making this product. Right? So I would have, sorry babies, I would have raw material, work in process, final goods for the dry max. I would have raw material, work in process, final goods for the shirts. I would have raw material, work in process, final goods for the blazers. Raw material, work in process, final goods for the socks. Can you see every product that I produce, I have to run through everything. Okay, so that's why you'll see that in the school syllabus, they will usually say that we produce one product, one type of laptop, for instance. Okay, so the raw material is what I need to make the stuff. So if I produce dry max, obviously it would be the material, it would be the zips. That's my raw material, you understand that? Because it's not being worked into a product yet. Okay, so raw material will work as follows. And you're going to see, oh, but it looks like a normal stock account. I will have a balance. Then I will have whatever I buy. So it would be bank and creditors control, depending how I buy it. CJ. Can you see in those amounts will be included the transport costs and if there were import duties. Do you understand those 2 expenses? Let me explain it to you. So let's say I buy the material in Switzerland. Now I need to get that material to Pretoria, South Africa. So let's say I buy the material there at €7 a meter. Can you see? You have to go then and transfer it to being rands. Okay? Now let's say it works out R100 a meter. Okay? Now I need to get those material from Zurich to the ports to put it on a ship. Can you see? That's going to cost me money. I need to put it on a ship to go to Cape Town. That's going to cost me money. I need to get it from Cape Town with a truck or a train to Pretoria. Can you see? That's going to cost me money. So can you see the transport costs is going to lift the cost of the raw material. Does that make sense? Okay. The same is also true if you import. Because if you import goods, you're going to pay a tax. They call it custom duties or import tax. Don't look on your notes. It's not there. It's there if you read through, but not now. Okay. So now what happens is if I have those goods in Cape Town, to bring it onto shore, I need to pay the government a tax. Okay. So can you see that will also make the raw material more expensive. So by the time that material comes to Pretoria, it's no longer R100 a meter, it's R300 a meter, R400 a meter. Can you see? So if I would ask you advice, how would I make my raw material cheaper? You would say, oh, first of all, don't buy overseas. See if you can buy it somewhere local. Because then you cut out on import duties and you also cut out on a lot of transport. You see, so immediately it's much more cheaper. Okay, you guys with me? Okay, so I'm buying stock. I can return stock. Ne? You guys all with me? Okay. Now, why did I buy the raw material? I bought that raw material because I want to make a product with it. If you're a baker, you're going to buy eggs and flour and vanilla essence, all of that. You're going to buy that because why? You want to bake a cake. If you are making cars, you're going to import doors, seats, steering wheels, chassis. You're going to get that from Japan and Hong Kong and wherever, and then you're going to assemble it. You guys got me? It feels like you're dying. Okay. Now, can you see the raw material will be in a storage room? And we will have someone that's in charge of it. Okay. So, in other words, what I'm saying to you is, it's separate from where they make it. Okay. So now, work in process is, or progress, is where they are making the goods. This is where they are sewing, cutting the material, sewing the dry max, putting in the zips, do quality control. This is the factory. So work in process is actually what in your head you know as the factory, because this is where the stuff are being made. Okay. So now what happens is work in process will be, raw material will be issued. This is when we issue raw material to the factory. Does that make sense? Because if I have a lot of rolls of material, I'm not going to let it stand there in the factory and it gets dirty and whatever. I keep it in a storage room where it's safe. Okay? So, in our school, how it works is, if have you ever seen that there's a little storage room there under the stairs? So now if I need black pens, I'm going to write out a form that says 15 black pens for my department. I'm going to sign it I'm going to give it to Miss Hubert. Miss Hubert is going to go to the storage room, take 15 pence and issue it to me. It's the same thing. If we make apple juice, the factory will go to the storage room. Someone from the factory will go to the storage room. They will issue apples to the factory. You guys with me? But can you see this works like a normal stock account? Trading stock. The only difference is I'm not selling stock. I'm issuing stock to be made into other stock. Okay. So I will have an opening balance and I will have a closing balance. Why? Because we all know my year ends 28th February and then starts again the next day, 1st of March. So the stuff won't go bad in one day, even though it's the next year. It's actually just the next day. Everybody with me? Okay. Now, you all understand raw material. I'm going to quickly die here. Please. If you are baking a cake and you need eggs, you're going to go and look in the cupboard or the storage room. Ne? A lot of your parents have got that lekker big pantries, and you go into the pantry, you take the eggs, now you go to the kitchen. This is exactly what happens there. The eggs are here, but it's needed here to be baked. You get it? Okay. So now we are in work in process. Work in process or progress is where we are baking the cake. This is the kitchen. But because we're working with a factory, we're not working with a small kitchen, we're working with these big kitchens and these big machines. And you guys get what I'm saying? Who's been inside a factory before? Okay, so it's literally, you see now after you saw the video, basically the raw material is all the things that they need to make the product, and it becomes part of the product. Okay? You shop and it's in a storage room and you'll have someone in control of the storage room. So that work in process there just means this is the raw material taken to be made into something lekker or new. You get it? So now, let's say we are making t-shirts. Can you see we'll have a balance? Meaning, we'll have t-shirts that's not done or finished from yesterday. Okay? Then, we bring in the raw material or the direct material, whatever you want to call it. Ne? Now, what else is needed with that direct material? Direct labor. Ne? Those guys standing, packing the chips, sending it, pushing the buttons. Ne? We call them line workers, and they are direct labor. Then we also need factory overheads. So factory overhead, I'm going to explain to you now, but that's basically the expenses. That's your water and electricity, your rent, the salary of the foreman, stuff like that. So, what do I need to bake the cake? I need the ingredients. I need the person who bakes. And I need electricity. Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense? So, now, all the stuff here, now it's all in the mix and we are doing this. Now, in the end, it's going to divide into two parts. It's going to divide into finished goods. So now they're ready to sell. And closing balance. Why? Yes.
Is the factory overheads the cost, like electricity?
Expenses, yeah. It's the expenses. So, can you see, this is what I need to make the product. Some of it are going to be done, and some of it won't be done. Okay? Now, when I go to final goods or finished goods. Let me rather say finished goods. This is now the stuff that's ready to sell. Right? So, now I say, okay, some of the dry mags or the t-shirts didn't sell from last year. Now, I finished some of them. There's now new ones. End of the year, there's some that didn't sell. Okay? So what is it going to balance on? Let's quickly think. Just quickly think. Remember, what are we here to calculate? We want to calculate the cost of the goods that I produced. Why do I produce it? To sell it. So now let's quickly think. If I tell you your finished goods, let's think of the Pringles. You had 7 million rand stock left from last year. You make an extra 70 million. So now you are worth what? 1.4 trillion million. Okay. End of the year, you have 100 million left. What is the difference? This was the ones that I sold. Let's make it smaller amounts. Let's make it matric dance dresses. I say last year we had 1 dress left. We made 7 extras. In the end, I have 2 left. Can you see I had 8 available to sell? 2 didn't sell, so I sold 6. That's my cost of sales. You see? And that would go to what? My trading account. You remember we did closing transfers last year? Sales less debtors allowance, cost of sales. And what do I get there? Gross profit. Hey, isn't that true? Go through it again. It starts with the ingredients. We call ingredients raw material. The raw material goes to where it is being manufactured into a final finished good ready to sell. So there's 3 stages of the stock. Is everybody sure? Okay. Now, when I go to the expenses, again, it's going to work in 3s. Expenses are going to work. The factory itself, the manufacturing business itself, has got 3 departments. Okay? So expenses will be spread into 3 departments. First department, the factory. And that's what we call factory overheads. Okay? Second department, admin. Final department, sales and distribution, or selling and distribution cost. Okay, so this is different functions or different departments. Now can you see that admin and sales and distribution doesn't form part of the cost of making the product? That's why I only transfer factory overheads to the factory. Okay, so what's going to happen? I'm going to show you how it works. So we all know, so I'm telling you now, we have factory overheads, we have admin, we have sales and distribution. Now let's say, for instance, I have insurance. I have an expense insurance. Okay? So, do you think the insurance company is going to send me a separate bill for the 3 different departments? No, they're going to send me one. The same with rent expense or whatever. So now let's say insurance. So now they say, okay, I paid in total 2,100 rand for insurance. And now they tell me, okay, I need to allocate the expenses between the 3 departments. Okay. So let's say they say to me, we have to allocate it 5 to 1 to one factory admin, sales and distribution. Okay? How will I calculate? I say 2,100 times 5 over 7. So what will that give me? 1,500. So in factory overheads, I'm going to say insurance, 1,500. Okay? Admin, sales and distribution, I'm going to say insurance, 300, insurance, 300. You see? I'm going to do the same with rent expense. I'm going to do the same with anything. Certain expenses doesn't go into all three. For instance, advertising. Will advertising form part of factory overheads, making the product? No. Will it form part of the admin, where the secretary sits and the books are being kept? No. It will be part of sales and distribution. Can you see? Advertising will only go to sales and distribution. Does that make sense? Bad debt will only go to sales and distribution. What else can you think? Packing material. Packing material. Let's think of depreciation. Can you see depreciation of the machinery will be factory overheads, but depreciation of the fax machine or the copy machine will be admin, and depreciation on the vehicles, the delivery van, will be sales and distribution. Does that make sense to you?
Does
Yes.
the salaries for, let's say, those van drivers, will they fall under sales and distribution?
So salary and wages is the one that forms this. Let me show you. I'm going to do it nice and big. So salary and wages, we pay. So this is my total amount that I pay. So it will split into two parts. Okay? It will, okay, let's say it splits into three, sorry. It will split into admin, sales and distribution. Ne? So admin would be the salary for the secretary and the bookkeeper. Sales and distribution would be the people working in marketing. It would be the delivery guys. It would be the sales reps. Do you know what a sales rep is? It's a representative. Ne? It's the middleman. Okay. But when you get to the factory, it splits into two parts again. The factory splits into the factory overheads, ne? And the work in process. Why? This we say is indirect labor. Okay? Indirect labor being the cleaners, the engineers, the guys who develops the machines, the mechanics, the factory foreman, which is the factory manager. The work in process would be the direct labor, and that's the only one that is direct labor, is the line workers, and they will get a wage. Okay. So in other words, with salary and wages, it goes to different places. Okay, you guys got it? So, now, let's go back to this. So now if I look at these three expense accounts, can you see all your expenses is summarized in three departments. So your factory overheads will close to work in process. Remember I showed you now. Yeah, work in process, factory overheads. Okay? Let me just do it like this. Your admin will close to profit and loss, and your selling and distribution will close to profit and loss. Can you see how easy your profit and loss is going to be, because there will be only two accounts. Admin, sales and distribution, which is already a summary of all the expenses. Everybody shut. You're still dying. I'm sorry. Okay, let's start. So if I look at the notes, you can go read through the notes. You will see the first thing that's very important is your material is divided into direct and indirect. Direct material would be your raw material, right? Indirect material is what we know as consumable stores. Okay, your Andy. Labor. Labor, you have your direct and your indirect. Your direct being the person working with the product, the guy making the product. Okay. Indirect labor is other people in the factory. They are not making the product, but they are helping the people who are making it. They are cleaning the floors that they don't slip on it. They are checking that the people don't take too long lunches. They are upgrading the machinery, stuff like that. Okay. Manufacturing overheads is what I call now factory overheads. And that is expenses specifically for the factory. Okay. So things like advertising won't go there. Can you see I'm just repeating what I said? Okay. You can go look here at the examples. So they say for you, can you see raw material, work in process, finished goods? There's your three stock accounts. Raw material, work in process, finished goods. There's your three stock accounts for the product itself. Now, but can you see there's an extra one here? There's a one for the things that does not become part of the product, the consumable stores. Okay. Indirect material is also called consumable stores. Okay. Then, if you go look, indirect labor, direct labor, I did explain factory overheads. Okay. Now let's get to fixed cost, variable cost, and production cost. So fixed cost, not determined by units. For instance, and now you're going to say, but that's not true. If I say to you, water and electricity is a fixed cost, your immediate response is, but my mom's account changes every month. Ne? That's not what it's about. So if I come into the classroom and I switch on that light, is it going to be cheaper if there's nobody in the class? No, it's the same price. If I switch on that light, it's the same price if I have all of you in the class or if it's just me. Can you see it's not determined by how many units are using it? You hear what I'm saying? So yes, if you do produce more units, it might be that your price goes up, but it's not per unit. Okay. Whereas your variable cost is determined by units. Let me explain. If I bake a cake, I need an egg and a cup of flour. If I bake 2 cakes, now I need 2 eggs, 2 cups of flour. If I bake 3 cakes, now I need 3 eggs, 3 cups of, you get my point. But the fixed cost, I switch on the oven and it's on if I put in all 3 cakes all at once in the oven. Can you see? It's not determined by the unit. You guys with me? If I want to take us on an outing and I order a bus, and the bus can take 60 people, and it costs 4,000 rand, and only 10 people go, is the price of the bus going down? No. But can you see the price per person is now very high? It's going to be 400 rand a person. But if I get all 60 seats full of people, is the bus going to be more expensive? No, it's still 4,000. But can you see per unit, it's going to go down. Okay? But is the cost of the bus determined by the amount of people inside the bus? No, the unit cost is determined by that. Okay, production cost is how much does it cost to make the stuff. Remember, I did the work in process here for you. So production cost is the raw material, direct labor, factory overheads. That's your production cost. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I don't have you after this. If you go on the next page 3, there's all the T accounts. Okay. You see? You will see all the T accounts. And tomorrow, when the other people are back, I will do question 1, because now you are all dying here.